Hi, I'm not going to say it. I've decided to do a new series. It'll be a very infrequent one. I'm going to call it Manga Moments, I think. It's just basically focusing on different type of manga that think might be of interest to somebody, especially if they want to try manga but are a bit nervous because it's such a huge thing to look at. Um, in some episodes, I'm going to do deep dives of some of my favourite mangaka, which are like manga creators, and favourite series. But today I'm going to look at some more recent titles that I think are worthy of investigation because they're newish titles, so they're easy to dive straight into if you want to dip your toes into the world of manga. So the first one, I've just finished reading this today. This is Battle Royale Enforcers, Book 1. So this is set 20 years after the original series of Battle Royale. Royale originally came out as a novel. Then it became a manga series, and it also became a very popular, hugely globally popular series of films. I think it's about 2 or 3 films. I've got them anyway. I can't remember how many there was in total. So basically, what it is, it's Japan has been taken over by this unspecified um, dictatorship from another southern Asian country. Could it be China? Who knows? Or could it be North Korea? Something like that. So basically, it's a country who has ruled out fun, ruled out empathy, ruled out helping those who the state deem as unworthy. So this is 20 years, set 20 years after the original Battle Royale, and this school on this island has reopened again, and these students find themselves there. They've no idea why they're there, and it's run by an AI generated headmistress, and then it's got like these very rich teenagers who like are like the overseers of the camp, making sure that everybody else basically toes the party line. The artwork, I think, if you're used to Western style art, it might be a bit of a shock to the system, but a lot of this style of artwork is kind of becoming um, popular in Western style comics, in modern day superhero comics. For example, Sweeney Boo, who's been doing Harley Quinn, she's got this kind of style. So it's a brand new setup. It's a brand new situation of school children. It's a brand new scenario. One of the main characters, I can't remember the names because they're all Japanese, but one of the main characters, and I don't take notes, and I should. One of the main characters, he's on here for listening to unlawful music. Basically, rock and roll's been outlawed. Basically, anything that goes against the party line, anything that might cause rebellion, has been outlawed. So he's been put into this special school because he was found to be a big fan of rock and roll music. There's another young lad who is on this island because he tried to defend these people from being attacked by the state police. And so there's various reasons why these young people are on this island who normally wouldn't be imprisoned in our society. And so they just think they're learning lessons, and suddenly the AI teacher said, now you're going to learn a new lesson. You're going to eliminate your fellow classmates until there's one remaining group. So there's about 5 or 6. There's 8 squads in total, so they're in squads of 5. But initially there's 6 in a squad, and they determine how that person's going to be eliminated. It doesn't skimp on the gore. Forget your Red Band comics, which does skimp on the gore, and just anyway, that's another whole other story. This really doesn't. From the first chapter, let me just. One of the young guys tries to come to help with this young girl who wants to go to the toilet, but the classroom's been locked by the AI teacher, so he's trying to break it open, and suddenly something happens to him. His eyes start bleeding, his nose starts bleeding, and then blood just gushes completely out of his body. So it's like rice and stuff is just being there's been capsules implanted in pupils. So if they don't toe the party line, if they don't toe what the AI teacher tells them to do, they'll die anyway. And so this is basically just setting up the ground. So it's working out who the groups are. So the groups now have been let out of the classroom, they're dispersed into the, like I said, there's 8 groups, and they've now got to fight each other. And you've got some who are in different groups who are friends with people from other groups. So there's that weird conflict about saying, do I have group loyalty or do I have loyalty to my friends? Like, this guy's such a good guy. He was basically willing to sacrifice himself for this girl. But it didn't happen. There's a big twist what happens with both of them as well. I was hooked. What you've got to remember with manga as well, it goes from left to right, so you start at what we call the back. But once you try to do your first manga book, it becomes second nature. And the flow on the story is so good. The pacing's so brilliant compared to, say, a Western comic. You find yourself just wanting to know more about the characters. As soon as I finished this book, I was like, no, I've got to wait a few more months now for the next book. It gripped me. It was amazing. I love the Battle Royale films. I do want to get the original manga, but it's really hard to get hold of now. Yeah, it's everything I wanted. This is what... If you want a violent comic, but with a good plot line, go for this. Don't listen to Marvel's mamby-pamby red band comics. This has guts aplenty, literally. It's got violence, but it's violence for a reason. The story, it's not sensationalistic, it's an exploitation. It's young people in peril who are put in this predicament through no choice of their own. And it's amazing. There's just been one volume so far. It's £10.99. Some shops like My Forbidden Planet and my local Travelling Man, they do 3 for 2 on manga, especially Viz. This is the Viz signature editions, which are slightly larger than the smaller size tanker bands, what are the Shonen Jump ones from Viz. I prefer this size. With Shonen Jump, I tend to get the majority of them digitally. I'm not a huge Shonen Jump fan because I think it is aimed at a younger market, because it seems to have more of a teen protagonist with big spiky hair, and so it's always like a very... It's just, I don't know, I find a bit of a disconnect to a lot of the series, but there is one that I will showcase in another episode. So yeah, I would give this 8 out of 10. It's got me gripped, but I'm not going to give it higher than 8 because I think there can be improvements, and I'm thinking that there will be in the second volume. So yeah, if you want to try your first manga, this is an easy one to get into. Like I said, there's only been one volume so far, so you're not going to waste a lot of money. So yeah, very, very good. And another one, this one really blew me away. This one is called Full Night. Oh, by the way, the creators on this one is story by Kushin Takami, art by Yukai Asada for Battle Royale and Forces. This one, Full Night, is story and art by Kasumi Yasuda. I think this is their first major work. Again, $10.99 in the Viz Media signature range. I'll give you the synopsis. It says, the Earth of the distant future is covered in thick clouds and the sun no longer shines. Plants wither and oxygen is thin. To fight extinction, humankind has developed a technology that turns humans into plants, providing a small amount of oxygen. Is this process sustainable? Is it ethical? Toshiro Kamiya must consider these questions as he's faced with a difficult choice: save his family or save himself. Kamiya is at the end of his rope. His mother is ill, and his job barely pays for her medication, much less food. With few options left, he considers the life-changing process of transfloration. Ready to give his body up for a payday, Kamiya is about to explore the limits of society's waning humanity. So, it's quite a heavy premise, that. I do like post-apocalyptic stories, and this is a good spin on it, where it's post-apocalyptic with self-inflicted body horror, and people are willing to sacrifice themselves so they can have. I think they get this seed planted in them, and they have like 2 years where they get money, basically get everything that they want. But after the 2 years, the plant erupts and they turn into a plant. It kills them and become a plant or a tree, and so that helps oxygenate the planet again. Because, like I said, all natural plant life has died away. The artwork in this is quite unique, and I really like it. It's got like a very European sensibility to it. It's quite a subdued story. The main character, Japanese comics sometimes have these characters who have such a hard life. It's so grim, but they imbue him with quite a morose but funny sense of humour. And one of his best friends works for the transfloration company, and they normally pinpoint transfloration for people with terminal illnesses or people who are really, really old. And like I said, they get a good chunk of money. Basically, they have everything that they want for the final 2 years of their life, and then they become a plant. But he's hit rock bottom. So he says to his friend, I want the transfloration service. And she says, but there's nothing wrong with you. He says, I'll be dead in 2 years. She said, no, you're not. You're fine. So they take his bloods and all. Let's say you're fine. He said, I'll kill myself. Oh, trigger warning. So I'll end my life. I'll stop living. Okay. Oh, I hate YouTube for all the political bullshit. But so she says, okay. So she gives him. So he goes through the process. So he's now got this seed growing in, but unlike anybody else who has it, it mutates something in his body, in his genetic makeup, and he can actually hear and sense the feelings of the other people who've been turned into plants, into trees. And so there's this young pianist whose father has become a plant, and she wants to know what her father's feeling, so he said he'll help her. I don't want to give any more. I've given quite a chunk of the plot away from that, but it's very, very unique. It reads more like a very European kind of comic. It's something I could imagine being in Heavy Metal magazine back in the day. It's got a very interesting premise. It didn't rush across as quickly as Battle Royale Enforcers. You had to take your time with this one. Like I said, the artwork's beautiful. The storytelling is very, very tight. The world it's built is believable. Within the first chapter, you're invested in this world. You knew what the world was about. You knew this guy's predicament. You knew his friendship with the girl who works for this company. And you're invested. You're invested in the long run. So yeah, again, first issue, first book. So another good jumping on point. Artwork, I think, would be more suitable to people who aren't used to manga artwork. It's got much more of an American, European kind of flavour to it. It's kind of loose, almost like a Tim Sale kind of feel. It's like a cross between Tim Sale and early Vince Locke when he did Deadworld. That kind of art, that kind of feel. Yeah, 8 out of 10. Really enjoyable. And moving on to a really beautiful series. There's been 2 volumes so far. This is called Steel of the Celestial Shadows. This is by a female mangaka, writing and art by Daruma Matsura. The covers themselves are just breathtaking. Again, this is the Viz signature line. More oversized than the standard Shonen Jump ones. Beautiful packaging. I just adore these covers. And the interior artwork is equally impressive, but more cartoony. What I like about the artwork in this, she manages to can do some really beautiful fluid kind of action scenes. She can do some really beautiful facial features and bodywork and backgrounds, but then she can suddenly switch to a complete cartoony face, and it's just glorious. She's got such a really nice fluid line work to her. But like I said, now she can do something absolutely gorgeous like that. Just show you some of the art. And the other one, then I'll give you the synopsis of the story. I've not read the second one yet. Got this recently. So, I'll give you the synopsis. So it's a down-and-out samurai named Ryuda Konosuke struggles through his hard-scrabble life in early 19th century Japan. It is said that samurai spirit rests in their sword, and Konosuke can't even pick one up, thanks to a cruel curse that repels anything made of metal that gets near him. Destitute and hopeless, he decides to end it all. But when a beautiful and mysterious woman saves his life and his soul, it is the beginning of Konsuki's journey into a strange world of magic that exists a step away from his own. So basically he's a dishonored samurai through no fault of his own. He can't, and it shows it in brilliant effect in this. He can't hold a sword or anything metal towards him, so he's bedraggled. He's got this unshaven appearance, which is something that samurais don't do. They look presentable. They look professional, and he looks like a tramp because if he tries to use a blade, it'd warp, it'd bend away, so he can't shave. So, by other samurai just shun him. They treat him like a leper basically, and he gets into this fight with this other samurai who tries to cut him. But because metal repels against him, the blade bends and hits the other samurai in the face, gives him like a pinpoint cut in his head. So all he can hold is a wooden blade, like a practice sword. So he's basically the laughing stock. He's unemployable. Nobody wants to employ a samurai who can't wield a weapon. And he's basically thinking, right, that's it. And he goes through this scenario. He helps this young woman who's not all she seems. She's actually from another plane of existence, and he ends up being ensconced and encapsulated into her world, and that's where his life could maybe change for the better. I can't say any more because I've not read book 2 yet, but oh my goodness, this was fun. Poles apart in storytelling, so different to the other 2 books in the themes. There was humour, there was romance, there was period drama, samurai action. It was beautiful, and the artwork and the whole packaging is just gorgeous. 9 out of 10 for this one. Highly recommend this. Just been 2 volumes so far. It's so easy to jump into. There's no confusion. Flows so well. Yeah. And I can't wait. I'm going to be diving into this later on today after I finish recording. And even the back artwork is gorgeous as well. I love anything like samurais and Eastern mysticism. Really, really good. And again, another series which is totally different from the other 3 what we just mentioned is Heart Gear. This girl is the last remaining human being. It says it's called Heart Gear. It's by Tsuyoshi Takaki. It says nearly 2 years after the destruction of humanity in World War III, Rue lives a happy life exploring the ruins of civilization with her uncle, who's a robot named Zet. But when their peaceful life is threatened, Rue must trust the mysterious robot Chrome to bring her family together again. After Rue accidentally activates Chrome without a base program, what is essentially a robot soul, she and Uncle Zet invite him into their makeshift family and encourage him to choose his own purpose. But when an insane machine attacks their home, will Chrome survive, much less find his purpose? So it's kind of like a modern version of the Pinocchio kind of storyline, where Chrome, which is this robot here, when he initially starts out, that's him. So it's just like this contraction. So he's a soulless robot. So he's a machine. But through this young girl and the change in his body, etc. It's like I said, it's a Pinocchio story. He wants to be a real person. The artwork is so dynamic. If you're a fan of like mecha Gundams and stuff like that, or anything cyber, you'll love it. Like Appleseed and stuff. But again, it's got that really pleasing cartoony style as well, and it develops without being weird, because some Japanese anime and manga can be a bit weird when they have young girls in the storylines, but this is very, very wholesome. And he becomes her protector. She's a young girl, she's about 12, I think. And so he basically defends her with his life. And there's other robots in who've got quirky personalities as well. Go on great adventures, and like I said, the art is It's just so nice. It's got this nice raggedy kind of feel to it. If you like Daniel Warren Johnson, you'll love this art style. You can tell Daniel Warren Johnson, he says it himself, he's influenced so much by manga, and would definitely be up his street. I've only read this one because I've got a big batch of manga recently, so I've just not had a chance to read them all because of reading my comics and doing reviews. But yeah, again, another fun read. I'd give this one 7.5, going on to 8 out of 10. I just feel like these others flow better, but I enjoyed it enough to get the other 2 books. So I think these are going to be really develop the world much more. It just had a bit of a slower start, I think, but yeah, really enjoyed it. Like I said, if you're more into like the sci-fi kind of storyline, you'll really enjoy Heart Gear. So these are some new books new series that have started this year. So you've got Heart Gear, Steel and Celestial Shadows, Full Night, and Battle Royale Enforcers. All totally different in genre, all totally different in atmosphere and art styles and storytelling styles. So there's a bit of everything for anybody who wants to dip the toes into manga. And hopefully I'll do another one of these very soon. I must look at some of my favourite mangaka and some of their works that I think you would really enjoy. Okay, bye. Bye-bye.